Well, if there's any moral to this drawn-out saga, it's don't give up. Just stick at it, but it may cost you your marriage. Now, the trail of abandoned kitcar projects is well paved, and this one isn't going to follow that path. But I may not be a young man when it's finished. Just to recap, I bought the car in 2008, having owned the original one, the John Raffo prototype, Raffo Belva, in 2002. This is about the 7th one built, but it was put together rather badly. Well, in my book, that is. Sound engineering is one thing, but dodgy electrics and poor trim is another. The car deserves better, and also I didn't like the rattly, underpowered 2-litre Zetec engine, or indeed the fact you couldn't really work on the car without taking the body off. So I took the plunge and started virtually from scratch. Carefully creating a bolt-on rear body section, I replaced the powertrain with a smaller Zetec petrol engine, and this gives more room around the engine to work on it. And we sorted the electrics out with the help of an ex-Lotus car engineer. Now, all this took a lot of time. The stage I'm now at is actually called progress, and although my deadline to get an MOT on the car was in July 2015 and it's now September, the car at least is rolling. The latest hold-up was flapping about trying to get the gear linkage working. Part of it was missing, but despite the good intentions of those helping me, the fundamental principle of how the gear linkage works was being overlooked. I have to admit, much of my confidence in car building had been lost, probably a sign of my age, but I just had to get the gear linkage working, so I got stuck in with a vengeance, and I studied exactly how the gear spindle coming out of the gearbox moves throughout the 4 gears and the reverse gear, and I mapped the movement. So then I had to ensure the gear linkage mechanism fulfilled the requirements for that movement. And I very quickly discovered that the fabrication was all wrong. There was a cranked arm instead of an extension spindle, and the parallelogram action of the gear change was fabricated wrongly, with one of the arms linked diagonally, hence causing opposing movement. So no wonder the gear stick was just jamming, it was going the wrong way. Now, my theory is simply that the gear lever will do exactly what it's told from the gearbox, and provided the linkage is set up, the gate as such is already mapped out in the gearbox. You don't need a separate gate on the gear stick. So I made a few adjustments, replaced a few connections with rose joints, and job done. What a relief. I can actually drive the car in and out of the garage. Now, young Joe has continued to help me with the nightmare of the electrics. It's no easy task. Transferring a loom from one vehicle to another. It's like doing a heart transplant and finding that the recipient is rejecting the new heart. We've virtually sorted the electrics out with just the radio and the door lock solenoids to wire up, and I think we've got the reversing lamp just to connect. Joe has separated out the electrical connections for the rear body section, so it just clips into place really easily. And he's tidied up most of the electrics in the cabin, which is a major psychological step forward. It's just a real feel-good factor at long last. We've done some more soundproofing. We've linked the original Fiesta dashboard for the time being. Now, the real fun bit for me, and the area I'm most skilled at, is in designing and making the dashboard and generally sorting out the interior. I'll decide whether I want to use the original classic instruments or a mixture of both technologies. So in the meantime, I'm just strapping together just enough to get the car on the road. The next stage of this project will probably take another 6 months in my spare time, including a really good paint job and some nice wheels, etc. Now, in my impatience over this project, now 6 years off the road, I spent a legacy I had in the bank on a second-hand Mini Cooper Coupe SD. What a fabulous little car. Wow, the power and the economy and the ride. New cars are just something else. Mind you, I've owned 13 of the original Minis in my youth, and this Mini Coupe retains the go-kart features of those original Minis. But what it has reaffirmed in my mind is the importance of getting the interior dashboard designed absolutely for my driving needs and the kind of driving experience I want. And that includes soundproofing in the cabin, of course, and also interior lights, stereo speakers, etc. So the fun bits are now approaching. I've made some progress on the tricky building of the projector headlamps, and in the next video I'll show a little bit more detail about how I achieved this. There's still work to do in getting the look exactly right. Now, in my book, headlamp design is a defining feature of a car, and I hope my design input, I am after all a modern furniture designer and I've got a good visual eye, I hope my improvement to the Raffo headlamp will do this truly great car proper justice. I always thought the classic Mini headlamps gave the car a kit car look. Now, don't forget, my aim is to make my Raffo Belva make a Ferrari look dull. Ha ha. Well, thanks for watching, and please keep posted and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so.